My phone is hacked and they hear everything I say.
The Ugandan government has turned into a spying machine.
Very undemocratic and authoritarian state.
It's when you make yourself an interest for the state, and then we get interested in you.
A widespread of abuses that is coming with chilling effects.
They're just punching me in the eye and in the jaws and in the teeth.
The idea of privacy is gone in Uganda.
Of a regime that is scared of voices of dissent and is intending to crack down.
Scared state monitoring everyone? No.
Sophisticated state system to suppress digital repression.
Ukweli Africa teams up with Africa Uncensored to break the oath of silence.
We keep on monitoring him, his movements, where he stays, where he lives.
To be as discreet and as indirect and as unpredictable as can be.
We have acquired capacity to indeed acquire intelligence on anyone.
So they are turning this country into a big brother house.
Big Talk with
This is the Big Talk. We are discussing the amendment.
This is Kanari Mugume, a renowned investigative journalist and news anchor with Next Media. Kanari has been the target of spyware, something he is well aware of and has spoken about on several occasions.
I never knew that holding power to account, informing the public, would really be reason to be watched by government if we were to go by at least the information available to us. It also, shows that there is fear about the kind of work that we do. Some of the people being held accountable do not want some of this information exposed or brought to the public. They want to do some of this work in the shadows. So it just sends me one message when I look at all this generally, that maybe the work that I do could be reason on why I'm spied on.
This organized campaign by the government targets journalists, politicians, and anyone they deem to be of interest.
Monday, 7 to 8 p.m. That's when
Kanari describes how he and those around him have been targeted.
I've been able to get in touch with some experts from Citizen Lab, and the information that they gave me is that numerous times towards the general election in 2021, before and after, the phone had been hacked into several times. That's not just that. Even my wife's phone had been hacked into. It means that the surveillance is not just on me, but also the closest family people around me. It happened towards the election, and this time is also happening towards the election, which for me is a pattern.
The government surveillance program in Uganda has targeted the phones and devices of people it has identified as its opponents, intercepting emails, gathering information, and tracking their location against their will. Robert Chagulanyi, popularly known as Bobby Wine, is a leading figure in Ugandan politics and a prominent opposition politician. He has been the target of digital and physical espionage directed by the government.
This is yet another piece of evidence of a regime that is scared of voices of dissent and is intending to crack down on opposition regardless of what laws and freedoms they violate. It's unfortunate that this is happening in East Africa, most importantly in Uganda, where dictatorship emanates and is threatening to spread across the region.
The surveillance technology that the government is using has been sourced from China, Israel, Russia, and elsewhere. According to Privacy International, the Ugandan government has a contract with Huawei to supply and install surveillance equipment throughout Uganda.
This camera on this day.
Huawei was contracted to supply and install CCTV cameras along major highways within the capital Kampala and other cities, and in 2020 the Chinese telecoms giant installed 20 facial recognition systems which were to be connected to 107 monitoring centers at different police stations within 2,319 mapped countryside municipalities and major towns. This is only one documented instance of how the technology, ostensibly acquired and deployed with the stated aim of protecting citizens, is being used to track and surveil them instead.
My name is Chagulani Sentambo.
Bobby Wine attests to the chilling effect that this surveillance can have, with the clear goal being to intimidate and dissuade opponents of the government from freely engaging in politics.
It has greatly inconvenienced me and my family and my colleagues who I work with. For example, imagine back at home, there are rooms that we don't use anymore where we have cameras that are looking through the windows. The windows we don't open anymore. There are places around our house where we don't feel comfortable being anymore because we have cameras looking directly into our fence. It's a violation of our privacy. But what do you do when impunity is the order of the day? So we just try to adjust accordingly to be as discreet and as indirect and as unpredictable as can be.
According to a report by Unwanted Witness, the surveillance landscape across East and Southern Africa is diverse and expanding, with both state and non-state actors deploying a wide array of technologies including spyware, biometric systems, real-time phone interceptions, malware, CCTV networks and social media monitoring to surveil and suppress dissent, often targeting journalists and activists.
So the problem is the surveillance that is being undertaken in Uganda, but also most African countries, do not meet the three tests, PAC tests of necessity, proportionality and legality. So there is broader surveillance that is being taken, and it's a problem to human rights. It's a problem for the enjoyment of the right to privacy. It's a problem to free expression. It has also become a big problem when it comes to freedom of association.
This report further details the different external players and companies that supply this technology to the government for surveillance using artificial intelligence and facial recognition to identify people and track their locations.
But also, besides just importing tools, we've also had our exchange of expertise, where you find security agencies within Uganda government going to Egypt to be trained, you know, receiving that expertise of using technology to surveil. We've had also trainings going on in China, you know, but also the hands-on inside. We have Chinese in Uganda, how itself is in Uganda. So they do also support, like give hands-on when it comes to targeted surveillance.
For close to 7 months, Ukweli Africa teamed up with Africa Uncensored to look into the silent war on state surveillance in Uganda and elsewhere in Africa. This is Mudogo, not his real name, a state operative in the police intelligence unit. He has agreed to speak to us, but with a protected identity. He has gathered state intelligence for the last 15 years, and he breaks down to us how the state operates.
We can put his number on our systems, and we keep on monitoring him, his movements, where he stays, where he lives, the people he communicates to. So when we come to that part of communication, we get the printouts or call data. So we see the common callers. How many times does he call a day? And how many calls does he receive a day, or she? So we keep on monitoring, and we also see who is the most popular person he moves with. If at all we have got his number still, we can also use what we call GPS. This one leads us to the person directly.
One surveillance tool that the Ugandan government is using is FinFisher, also known as FinSpy, built by the Gamma Group, a British company that says it sells monitoring software to governments solely for criminal investigations. Privacy International found that the government of Uganda used this powerful, invasive malware tool to spy on domestic political opponents and critics by phone tapping, intercepting communications, and manipulating how devices communicate and share data. The Kampala regime has also been accused of using Pegasus, sold by the Israeli NSO group, to spy on journalists and US diplomats based in the country.
It has been Hawaii, which has been a close ally of government when it comes to surveillance, but also Hawaii is the biggest known. But then if you look at the spyware side, we have NSO.
Pegasus is particularly invasive and can be installed through SMS, WhatsApp, iMessage, and also by zero-click, where malicious actors gain access to a device without any user interaction, such as sending them a link to click or an attachment to open. When installed on any device, it harvests SMS messages and emails, accesses photos and videos, accesses the user's contacts, listens to and records phone calls, and remotely activates a phone's camera. Danze Edwin, a cybersecurity expert, explains how this tech world works.
All this software is designed and sits on a server somewhere. So if I'm on the dark web, I'm going to be able to purchase almost anything to install in a CVC. If I'm sharing a contact with you, for example, I've met you at a conference, I'm sharing my contact details with you, and under my contacts, I'm going to have had that malware inside there. So when you're having a call, and most times you hear a lag or most times you hear interference, it may or may not be network related, but more often or not, if you're a person of interest, that's one glaring sign of your phone call being listened to.
Dr. Kizza Besigye is a one-time ally turned political opponent of President Yoweri Museveni. He was arrested while in Nairobi and transported to Uganda in mysterious circumstances, where he was arraigned in a military court in December 2024. He remains in police custody to date. Uganda's Information Minister Chris Baryomunsi said detectives had gathered enough intelligence to arrest Besigye while he was in Nairobi, and there is evidence that his phone was hacked into and his location was being tracked without his knowledge.
If indeed you got this evidence, and it's clear-cut evidence according to what they presented in the media with audio clips and whatnot, why then don't you push for expeditious trial? What is it that is holding them back in presenting this evidence before court? And we want to put a question to them. Why are they procrastinating with the trial of the case? Why are they playing hide and seek?
These surveillance tools that African governments are acquiring and using against their citizens cost money, with the New York Times reporting in 2016 that the cost of installing Pegasus on 10 phones was upwards of $650,000 plus $500,000 setup fee, and the price list for Finfisher in 2014 quoting as much as $3 million for the full suite of tools. These vast sums of money being spent on surveillance to spy on citizens are worrying, and they show that government priorities are putting the direct violation of citizens' constitutional rights and laws governing surveillance above the provision of basic needs.
It's extremely expensive. Even just hacking into someone's phone just once, it's extremely expensive to do that using that software. Even buying of the software. Also been informed there's also new software has been brought into the country from a certain country to monitor, create avatars on the internet just for the case of winning the election. So it is not a priority for us as a country. I think this money can be put to good use.
We have Article 27 of the Constitution that guarantees the right to privacy. It's one of the most vulgarized and abused provision of the Constitution. In this country, there is nothing that is classified to a particular individual. It can only be classified to the state. For them, they have information you cannot access. But for a private citizen, everything is accessible by the state, with or without any justification, with or without any support of the law. So that's what is happening. Even the Access to Information Act has been rendered nugatory. It's useless because it provides procedures and mechanisms that you have to follow before you access my information. But it's not followed.
While the regime doesn't openly speak about its spy network and surveillance, Ukweli Africa happened to be at the right place and at the right time.
We are managing intelligence very well. We have acquired capacity to indeed acquire intelligence on anyone that becomes of interest to the state. It's not every citizen that is followed. It's when you make yourself an interest for the state, and then we get interested in you. But otherwise, every citizen is free.
I, for example, know that my phone is hacked and they hear everything I say. I know that our office is most likely bugged because you remember when the military took over our office, broke into every room, and Mohozi, Museveni's son, bragged and boasted about breaking into my office and taking it over for a day or two. We don't know what they planted in our office or what they planted in our cars or in our homes. What we know, however, is that we speak privately what we speak publicly. And therefore, they cannot get us offside. They cannot get us on the wrong side of the law to implicate us.
Several times my phone has actually been stolen, and this is like twice. But when I go to my other Apple devices, try to find it, it's not stolen and taken downtown, but it's around areas where there are military installations like in Buya, and that for me is cause for worry.
This indiscriminate spying is putting people's lives at risk. Nicholas Opio is a human rights lawyer at the forefront of the fight against human rights violations. In 2021, Opio was arrested on allegations of money laundering, having been subjected to heavy state surveillance and monitoring.
First, there was physical, real surveillance. There were vehicles parked around my house where I live. All of a sudden, somebody who looked like a madman, naked, began to live in our neighborhood right across from our gate. People who pretended to be practicing some choir of some sorts popped up in our neighborhood. A month later, they broke into my apartment, and the breaking into my apartment was primarily to target my gadgets. I was sedated on September the 8th. They took my phones, they took cameras, they took flash disks. They didn't take any other valuable from the house. They took laptops. And when we tracked these laptops and phones the following day using Find My iPhone, they showed up in a very interesting address on Chua 2 Road in Boya Hill on the outskirts of Kampala, the headquarters of the Chieftaincy of Military Intelligence, or what is now called Directorate of Intelligence Services. When that happened, we wiped out the gadgets remotely. But shortly thereafter, they attempted to break into our office and they stole a desktop computer from our reception. They were unable to access the main office because of the alarm systems that went off. And so physical surveillance is the first step of what I experienced.
Nicholas's story echoes Canary's experience, houses being broken into and devices taken and later traced to the Chieftaincy of Military Intelligence, which has rebranded to the Defense Intelligence and Security DIS. The DIS has been accused of suppressing media freedom and targeting journalists and activists with total disregard for human rights.
So physical space to hold governments to account, to protest the excesses of the regime in Kampala is nearly non-existent. As a result, many Ugandans had taken to the cyberspace as a place for mobilizing and a place for expressing their dissent or discontent with what's happening in the state. As that transfer of physical protest to digital protest happened, the state also sharpened its tools of digital repression. And so what you're now seeing is a far sophisticated state system, and they do this through bot factories, people who are paid to run accounts, to crowd you out, to scandalize your debate online. But they go a step further. They now begin to hack into your systems to see who you're communicating with, and then begin to trace and triangulate your network in order to be able to dismantle it.
You see, organized intelligence doesn't have to be seen that it's there. No.
As Mudogo, our source reveals, the state regularly uses spyware tools, internet interception devices, social media monitoring and biometric identity systems to surveil its people far more than is needed to ensure public security.
So in most cases, there are people who say that if I use a phone call, they will identify, they will hear whatever we are talking. So they prefer using WhatsApp. So I want to assure you that even in WhatsApp, we do get the what? We do get the messages, because the moment we put your number on the system, of course, we shall be able to be monitoring your messages, your SMS messages. Then we shall be looking at also the WhatsApp messages.
As we investigated the state surveillance mechanism, the unexpected happened. Canary Mugume became the target of a physical attack. On the 12th day of July, Canary was accosted by a group of border cyclists along the Kisasi roundabout on his way home after work. The attackers had clear instructions and they were spot on with their assignment.
They used a brick to smash the driver's seat window, and the brick fell inside. My seatbelt was already on, so I tried to remove it so I could find ways on how to go to the back or escape. But they were so fast because there were so many around the car. And this time they were trying to open it. And that's how one of them hit me with a brick in the eye. And then it fell inside also. And then the others came onto me and started punching me. They were going for the eye and the jaws and the teeth. So I can't see. And that's when they were able to get into the car and open it, and then started searching it. And then some other guy hit me with another brick here on the top of the head. So they started searching around documents. I could hear like really noise in the background, like someone giving instructions and all. And then they took out my two phones. They had time, about 2 minutes. So they took out my first phone, opened the armrest of the car where I rest my left hand when I'm driving, took the second phone from there, took some cash. And then after all that was done, they unstrapped my watch and then got into the back seat. So they took everything that looked like paper in the car.
While outwardly appearing to be a violent robbery, this attack was clearly targeted.
This was just off the northern bypass. It's a main road, it's the street lights. The number scared me. That is one. Number two, looks like they were aiming at destroying my face, because they were not doing anything else. They were just punching me in the eye and in the jaws and in the teeth.
Canary was left with both physical and mental injuries, as well as many unanswered questions.
I was extremely lucky. After my CT scan, everything looks perfect. I did not get any permanent injuries, both on the head and on the eye, because then now I'm worried about my safety, worried about my security, worried about my family's security, and now everything around me is just suspicious.
Worryingly, it seems the attackers had a well-crafted plan that went beyond the violent assault. Canary was soon subjected to a series of strange and threatening messages online.
I was attacked on Saturday night and I got discharged on Sunday. Then on Monday, a friend sends me a screenshot that being advertised on Instagram that I'm dead. It says that gone forever. This is the last time we'll ever hear from Canary. Something happened, and it's not just a screenshot, but it's off an Instagram advert. That this person went an extra mile to even go ahead and advertise on Instagram.
Canary's story is chilling, showing how anyone who the state deems to be a threat can have their lives turned upside down. Governments like Uganda's use these tools to make the lives of their citizens worse for speaking up, not just as a punishment, but also as a deterrent.
We do not have to monitor everyone. Number one. Number two, not every journalist is a threat. Actually, journalist per se is not a threat. It's those who pretend to be journalists when they are doing something else that become of interest. But if you are doing a journalism work, why should I even be interested in where you go? We have a lot of things to monitor. Terrorism, regional threats. We have a lot of things to monitor, not individuals who are doing their work genuinely.
Ugandans will live in a very surveillance state. in a very undemocratic and authoritarian state, perhaps more than China. You know, China is considered as a very authoritarian state where surveillance is everywhere. And I think that's not good for democracy. People should be able to tell you as a leader that this is not right for us as a society. This is not good for us as a people. And therefore you need to change and make it better. Rule with the people, not rule against the people. And that's what's happening with surveillance. So people will be so secretive, people will not express themselves, and I think it's in a way it is a danger to any country.
The end result in Uganda is a systemic erosion of freedoms, with opposition politicians and journalists having targets on their backs, and the fundamental questions about whether Ugandans are really safe in the hands of their government. Only time will tell.
We have a duty to you. We have a responsibility to the citizens to keep them secure. So how do you do it? By revelations from God?
So they are turning this country into a big brother house.
This is Ukweli Lens, Beyond